So we were talking about, metric versus standard, and Mac's been working on conversion, so he had to convert like ounces to pints and pints to gallons and all this stuff. And then at one of them, he had to convert feet to meters, and he's like, or pounds to kilograms. And he's like, this just sucks. Why can't we just be on the metric system? Right. and Jen and I are like, you're more than welcome to push that, Mac. They tried in the 70s and it didn't work, but
so many people agree with you.
Yeah. Like you're not standing on the hill by yourself.
You're not going to believe which people don't.
Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy who is heartily sorry for all of his sins, and parasitic scum, Martin and Brady.
I look at you and you seem almost normal, arrogant but normal. I thought I'd get to see what evil really looked like, but you just look like everyone else.
Listen. If there's one surefire rule that I've learned in this business is that I don't know anything about human nature. I don't know anything about curiosity. That's not part of what I do.
This week, we're tuning into a world where listening is power, and sometimes a curse. We're talking about Francis Ford Coppola's 1974 masterpiece, The Conversation, a quiet, paranoid classic that turns surveillance into an intensely personal nightmare, and pairing it with the 2025 thriller Relay, a modern take on secrecy, technology, and the cost of staying unseen in a hyper-connected world. While these movies were made 50 years apart, they approached the same fears from completely different angles. What does paranoia look like when you're recording on a magnetic tape versus living inside a digital web? And in a time when we're willingly carrying surveillance in our pockets, which film feels more unsettling today?
I thought this was a good pairing. You guys got me onto Relay. I watched it the day after you told me about it, and I loved it. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah, when you said you watched it, I was like, oh, he must have felt a little left out of the convo.
Some FOMO.
I did. It just felt like the right time, and I don't know. I watching this, it just felt very fresh to me. Right? Like, I mean, obviously, and that's the reason we paired it with The Conversation, is because there's just obvious parallels or influences.
Another fresh take.
Yeah, but Relay just seemed really like a very unique movie in a crowded field, you know?
I think I felt like it did a very good job of building the tension in the world, and, with the way that the story is told and how Ash communicates with his clients, I thought was pretty ingenious. Yeah. And it just felt like a story that existed, but somebody had the idea, but hadn't brought it to light. It had never been made or something like that. And then when you mentioned The Conversation, I had never heard of it. So I went back and obviously we watched it and I'm like, okay, I get this. But then there's another genre of movies that I feel like have taken this kind of idea, and we'll talk about that a little later.
No, bring it up
have
now.
Taken this.
Yeah, what are you waiting for?
So the idea of having a specialist who has a job, like a specific job that they don't do anything else. They have a particular set of rules that they follow. And then if they don't follow those rules, the job goes awry, something goes wrong. And so the first thought in my mind was The Transporter.
I was like,
right?
You're talking Statham in some way, shape, or form here.
I thought
sure,
you were going
right?
Neeson when you said particular set of skills.
He was flirting
particular
with
set of
Neeson,
skills.
but...
Yeah. But so I honestly, The Transporter is this, right? You have a guy who has a speciality. He does exactly what his job is. You tell him, I need this done. No names. No, I get paid half up front, half in the end. I never look inside the package. I don't care what it is. I'm just here to transport it. Another one is Shooter, right? They bring him in. He's a loner. They say, hey, we need you to help us stop an assassination. And he's like, well, if I was the guy who was doing it, this is where I would go. This is how I would plan it out. So you guys can take all this information and, you can do it to stop.
Prevent.
And it's all this prevent the assassination. And then ultimately, he gets framed for it. Or in the transporter, he looks inside the package and finds out like, hey, they were smuggling people, so now
Bad
they're
stuff,
trying
dude.
to kill me. Right. So, with both Relay and with the conversation, it was like the minute they deviated from their plan of just doing the job that they have been doing over and over and over, that's when the problem started.
I got another one for you. It's like The Killer from a couple years ago, David Fincher. With
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that movie. And I think we talked about it when we talked about The Killer and some of these other movies, but it's that whole competency porn thing, right? Like, these guys are just
Yes.
good at what they do. And yeah, that's exactly what I got that same feeling watching Ash work, right? Like, he was a step ahead of everybody, and so good at following the script. And of course, what deviates is that he's got a thing for Lily James. Who could blame him? and it had a great twist. Like, I don't know. Did you guys see it coming?
I will tell you. So I watched it when I first had access to it a couple of weeks back or a couple months back, and really quick, I want to go back. So
Yeah.
I remember, Martin. I feel like maybe I'm wrong on this, but I feel like when we brought this up, you didn't really remember what this movie was. And Jelani and I, when this trailer hit and we shared it, it was like with Reading, we were like, this looks like it has a ton of potential. And I admittedly kind of forgot about it. And then it, because then it found its way on to the Plex. And when I saw it and I was like, I remember how badly I wanted to watch this. And I watched it totally. Martin, you really hit a couple of those on the head, right? It was like, so really like Riz Ahmed. Honest, like, I don't know that I've ever seen something he was in that I didn't enjoy. But he's kind of a forgotten for me sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, Riz Ahmed, yeah, totally like Night of, definitely, got me on early. He's got a movie where he's a drummer. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but
Sound of
The Sound
Metal.
of Fury?
Sound of Metal or
Sound of Metal.
Yeah,
I watched it. Yeah.
got lost in the Whiplash hype, but
Whiplash is so
he
good.
was really good. But yeah, so him as the lead is really good. Lily James, we obviously, I think, Baby Driver
Baby
maybe
Driver.
was the first.
Baby Driver.
But yeah, the twist totally got me. I had been sucked all the way in to the point that I wasn't really thinking about twists, where we've talked about this in the past, where we're conditioned now to almost always be looking for them and ready for something to surprise me. Man, I tell you what, she came around the corner, or when she hit him in the van, I was like, oh man, did not see that coming. So yeah, no, I also, I've seen it now twice in a couple months. I don't know that I love it, but I do think it's pretty good, and it does feel to me a little bit like something I could turn Again, this doesn't happen anymore, but this is like a TNT movie from back in the day that I could totally get roped into.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, who knows? I mean, I'm not saying it's the best movie of all time, but it's like when a movie surprises.
What I heard.
When a movie surprises you, and more than anything, what surprises us, like people that watch a shit ton of movies, you tend to like it. You tend to gravitate towards that, and yeah, a thriller that can do that is for me just worth its weight in gold, because a lot of times these thrillers just seem very. Like I said, very much a dime a dozen, and all very formulaic, like the ones you mentioned, like the transporter type stuff. It's just, but it's not as smart, just a lot more action.
Right. And that's kind of what I was thinking of when I thought about like the transporter and the shooter, like those parallels, is that we exchanged some point, between 1974 and 2025, we exchanged the thriller aspect of it for just the straight action. Because if you think about it, even a movie like Michael Clayton is kind of like this, right? Like, you bring somebody in, he's a fixer, he can go in and fix it, and then he realizes, hey, maybe I'm not fixing the right things. And so then,
fix me.
The Accountant. Did you mention The Accountant?
No, didn't
that's
mention
another
accountant,
great
but that's another one.
Like, hey, he's good at math.
Right. And he goes through and he has a specific set of rules and how he likes to live his life. And, but yeah, I like a good thriller. And, a lot of times it's been a heist movie where you get those thrills and the excitement and the tension.
Well, there's an argument that this could be a heist movie. The bad guys are essentially on a heist.
Yeah,
they are trying to get into. I mean, I'm going very loose here with the terminology.
I think it's more like the types of thrillers that we like are either like a heist where you got the team, you have everybody that you like around it, Ocean's 11, or you have the singular, the accountant, relay, the killer, where you have the singular person, like more like Jelani's talking about. And those are really that's probably it. Those are probably the two types of
movies that we like,
thriller movies that I really gravitate towards. The good ones are kind of maybe follow those one or two rules there, where it's either a heist or a con or something like that, and there's a team and it's a whole group of people trying to work on it, or there's that singular person, and that's where I land.
I will say that, like, Ash, in getting the police wash involved when ahead of time, and obviously calling her in but not really telling her enough, but still she brought in, she arrived just in time. It feels to me a little bit like there's no reason he should have suspected her to have turned on him.
Oh, you've seen it twice, so maybe I didn't think he did that until after he knew that she had turned on him. It's not like he suspected her.
Wait, am I wrong?
No, I think he called. I think he called when he found out that they had taken her.
Yeah, right. So like he was.
So he didn't know she was in on it until he got.
So do you think he was just playing the angle that it was them, and then it turned out to be her too?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't overly nitpick it there, and that did seem that whole scene where they did come in, it did kind of seem to me a little anticlimactic, but
it was exactly.
It was enough. There was enough other stuff in the whole movie that made me like
it. The blonde girl get away?
She's still floating out
there.
She's
in the wind.
She's floating.
She is.
Yeah.
Relay 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
You've reached the Tri-City. What was it? Tri-City Relay Service.
Tri-City Relay Service.
Yeah.
Which again was very cool because, you don't anticipate necessarily, because Ash doesn't talk right away, right? Like, I thought maybe he was deaf, and that's why he was using it.
He didn't talk for the first 30 minutes, it said.
Yeah. So then you see, like, he's using it because because that's part of his world, right? He goes to see his buddy who is the forger, and he's using the sign language. I thought his backstory of, having the alcoholism and like the reason
being
why
being a whistleblower,
being a whistleblower that leads to his alcoholism, and then finding a way to like flip that on its head. Also, he wasn't obviously doing it for the money. He was doing it for like the people that were involved, right, and trying to make sure that they got justice for what they were seeing. I thought that was very well done.
Agreed on that front, and I especially agree with like the beginning of the movie being essentially the end of the pharmaceutical case. So you kind of got like your taste of what this world was, and I think it was just enough for you as a viewer to think that's all that was, as opposed to like, oh, it's relevant,
Right.
It was more like, oh, this is just laying the groundwork for what this essentially movie's going to be about. Without so that you have a clue. I really felt like they kind of nailed that aspect of it, where exactly why we all were surprised by the twist, because they set that up, in my opinion, perfectly, and that's a hard thing to do, especially these days.
I think Lily James did a really good job of playing the honeypot because, like you said, didn't anticipate it. I got that pang of, oh no, this is all going to fall apart when he called her and pretended to be the relay service. I'm like, it's over. Something's going to go wrong now.
I just kept thinking.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just kept thinking that like, of course, this is where it's going to fall apart. This is how it's got to go. This is how you get a movie out of it. This is the whole point of it. But they played it nice, like, because it wasn't overly he wasn't overly careless about it. It just felt believable. It felt like, yeah, maybe he was sick of all this stuff and really did want to help her and really did feel like kind of a connection. But yeah, that's her playing him like a fiddle.
Yeah,
she did, and you get into that scene in the where the concert hall, and like you're still all the way locked in on the fact that he's essentially gonna save her, and he's gonna get her out of this predicament. With a knife. How's that guy walking again with a glass shard to the back of the leg in some way, shape, or form?
And that's the other part. Like, when does he become Jason? How did he become Jason Statham? Does he have military training? Or
right. He was a Wall Street guy.
Wall Street guy becomes a weapons guy. Like, I couldn't do that shit to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair.
But whatever. We'll suspend that disbelief there.
Definitely suspend that part. But I'm actually glad to hear you both liked it. I think I already knew Jelani did from conversation, but Martin, I do think this checks right. It falls right into our wheelhouse, as you said. And for us, it's always fun to find some of those that are still like, this thing's not going to win any awards, and it's totally cool. And it's just like, yeah, but it's like, this is the type of movie I want to, proudly like and be like, oh yeah, I want to ask people, like, have you seen Relay? You should totally watch it.
Yeah,
it's good.
A smart thriller with a good twist, and a very competent and specific set of skills from the main character. So that's what we like. But yes, it definitely reminded me of The Conversation to some degree, or at least like I could see the writers of Relay being influenced by that. And you mentioned in the opening monologue there, the 1974 masterpiece. People do want to call this a masterpiece. I don't know how much I love this movie. It's a little long and slow. It's got a good ending, and there's interesting pieces to it. But damn, if I'm not like Brady, if I don't feel like Brady on this one watching it, I'm like 1974. Just it's an old movie.
I've heard of this. Johnny, you say you hadn't heard of it?
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I felt like it was a good opportunity to have you guys watch it.
I'd heard of it, and I actually think here recently when Gene Hackman died, I think it was mentioned a lot, right? It was like, from The Conversation, and but I knew I had never seen it, and hadn't really ever looked into it either because I got to 1907 and I was like out, right? Like,
you and Jen both, because I told her, I'm like, hey, you want to watch The Conversation? She's like, what's it about? I'm like, what's a 1907? Nope.
But it was. So when you brought it up, I'm like, all right, sure. Like this is what I like a lot of times, behind the curtain. It's like, oh, we got a movie we want to watch. And one of us is like, what should we watch with it? And Martin's usually a guy like, oh, I've seen this old ass movie that we could totally make sense. And I was like, sure, I'll throw it on. Man, it's slow. And there is a whole lot of talk about it being like totally underappreciated and like maybe Francis Ford Coppola's best, but like wasn't nominated, but it was still like considered this like well directed, and I'll co-sign that. I do think it was well directed, but I was surprised, but also because of how many movies from this decade I struggle with. It was so slow, and what blew me away was the original cut was 4.5 hours long.
No way. I didn't even know that.
And it said literally most significant was the subplot of Harry dealing with his neighbors. I was like, my God, I would have lost my mind if it was like...
Why? Because they hated the saxophone, or they kept breaking into his apartment?
It was such a slow run, and I'm like, I'm trying to push my through it. I will not be able to sit in a dinner party and have someone talk to me about how they think this movie's great, because it's just really it's a struggle bus for me with how slow and methodical it is.
So it's the second time I've seen it, but I forgot a lot about it, but because the whole first hour I just feel like is kind of, they just keep replaying that conversation. But I do remember not hating
that's
it,
brutal.
and then so that's why watching the second time, I'm like, oh, these guys are gonna tear me apart. But then by the end, I'm like, okay, and I get it. There is that interesting where you hear the conversation from a different angle, and I really feel they like had different inflections by the end, like because the way he was like the difference in the guy saying he'd kill us if he had a chance versus he'd kill us if he had the chance. I feel like there was a little inflection on us on the second time you heard it, and that's like, and that's like the interesting kind of twist to it, but not, nothing amazing. And I do like the paranoia aspect of it, and it definitely reminded me of Brady. You're gonna remember this from Better Call Saul when Chuck goes through and like tears out everything out of his wall. I mean, 1,000% not totally. To this movie, right?
I would argue there's no way around that.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, it's like it is important to see. But yeah, I just don't know that I'm ever gonna be like, especially when you talk about The Godfather 2 years earlier, and this came out the same year as Godfather Part 2. Like those are really, really, like every scene in both those movies is just incredible. Whereas the conversation, I just feel like there's a lot that can be cut out, and it is an interesting study in paranoia. And they do have, and Gene Hackman plays it relatively well. 44, by the way. That motherfucker's the same age as me? No way.
Because he said it in the movie. That's actually why I looked, because they were like, oh, it's your birthday. And it was like 42, 44 type of thing.
Yeah,
and
I think he lied. I think he told.
Wonder how old he is in this when he was filming this. And I looked it up, and I'm like, fuck, he was 44. I was like, yeah, I thought the same thing. I'm like, so he's a year younger than me, and I would argue he looks 20 years older than me.
20, at least. So Gene Hackman does a good job of portraying that paranoia. But like, yeah, there's just a lot of scenes of him at these conventions, basically like CES, Consumer Electronics Show, for like for surveillance. That's just, I don't know. Do you really need to have the guy trying to partner with him, like, so annoyingly, and so like poor acting, right? Like,
I know, right? Like,
it's like enough of that.
That part was lame.
Yeah,
I was just like, what am I watching? Why do I care about this guy from Detroit? Who,
So yeah, definitely parts to be cut out. But go ahead, Johnny.
Ultimately, though, that was the guy that did him in, right?
In what way?
Because Meredith was the one that stole the tapes.
Oh. Yeah.
He introduced him to Meredith. He got her, he had the pen mic.
Yeah.
And like that showed him all off. And then in the end, when he's searching for the bug, it's that harmonica thing. It's the harmonica tech that he saw at the show, where you blow the harmonica into the phone before you push the last digit, and then it turns your phone into a microphone.
Is that what we were supposed to believe?
That's what I did.
I definitely was. That's kind of where I ended up, but I definitely didn't know. And I was like, I don't know what else it would be, but
yeah, it's like, so the thing I took from this was like you said, yes, it was very slow and things like that. But again, it's that when he got overconfident is when he lost his way, right? So when he was talking, when they came to the after party, and Moran's telling him all this stuff, and they're like, "Oh, how'd you do that job?" Or "How'd you do this?" He's like, "I just did it." I don't know what you're talking about, or whatever.
He eventually comes out bragging about
and he comes out bragging.
Yeah, I did notice that shift.
Yeah,
like I'm surprised he said anything about how he did it. Right? Yeah,
right, exactly. And then he ends up staying with Meredith, and she seduces him, and then steals the tapes. And then in the end, she gave the tapes to Harrison Ford and Duvall. Which
director.
Again was great to just see him there.
Out of nowhere, I didn't look, so I didn't know he was in it, and I was just like, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, oh okay. Also, you mentioned Harrison Ford, who I did know was in it. The note I was looking up, did you know he was gay in the movie?
No.
Yeah, nor I. But it said he was initially intended to be a really small cameo, and then Ford decided to play him as gay, which was obviously risky in 1974, and personally purchased the loud green silk suit. And Coppola was like shocked by it, but then after talking about it, was so impressed with the interpretation, they like made it a bigger part. And I'm like, never once was I like, oh, that guy, he's gay. No clue. So
Nope.
I just wonder in '74 if it was subtle and that was enough for it to be loud. And for us, we're a long ways away from that, obviously. And so like,
Just
it's
looked
probably
like a cool suit.
so subtle that it's like we didn't think twice about it.
I didn't even remember it was a loud green suit.
Nor I, buddy. When I read that, I was like, loud? Was there a loud suit? I just remember him like, creepily standing at the end of the hall while he was watching him leave, but that's about it.
Leave, right, and then looking in the elevator to make sure he was there. Like, what was going on there? But yeah, again, like the twist. So Cindy Williams, I
Who's that?
will always remember. So that was the girl, the main subject,
The one that
the wife, Duval's wife /
Oh, the black.
new
Oh,
CEO.
the dark-haired girl.
The dark hair, yeah. I will always remember her from Batman, 1989 Batman.
Keaton.
Yeah, with Keaton and Nicholson, because she's one of the models that gets the Joker serum when they're doing like the
wow.
ads or whatever.
I don't remember.
Apparently, she was Shirley on Laverne and Shirley. Did not know that.
That I recognize.
That might be a bigger claim to fame.
And of course,
I didn't recognize Terry Garr.
I did when I saw her.
Yeah,
Like,
in hindsight, I saw the name and I was like, oh, okay.
yeah.
of
yeah,
young
totally.
Frankenstein fame. Or what do you know her from?
Mr. Mom?
Mr. Mom. Okay,
Mr. Mom.
that's fair too. Yeah,
It all comes back to Keaton.
we got to talk about.
all.
We got to talk about Fredo.
Yeah. Is this the only
Stay-
movie he was in that didn't win like
No,
Best Picture?
it got nominated. That's the thing. So yeah, the 5 movies he made: The Godfather, The Conversation, Godfather Part 2, Dog Day Afternoon, and Deer Hunter. They all were nominated for Best Picture, which is crazy. He's got the best track record. But anyway,
That
he
was
was
the
very small part in this one, right?
Yeah, we talked about him previously, but I remember that's his like random insane stat, right? But then the other part is that he was like Meryl Streep's boyfriend or husband for like a long time
Yeah.
before he died,
hmm
and and she obviously went on to. She's been in a couple things. But
He was like 42 as well. It's like, what the hell is going on?
it's crazy.
Playing on age.
What has changed in terms of aesthetic appearance, whatever we want to call it, for what 40s and 50, every age looks like back then versus now. Don't worry, Martin. You look fine for your age.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Can we ask what that trench coat was doing? Was it supposed to be a trench coat?
I think it was
'Cause
like
it
a
looked-
transparent trench coat or
I
raincoat.
wrote down paper thin trench coat. Like that's not doing anything for the
You're
the
insane,
rain that
Fran.
comes.
Maybe it was for just a transparent raincoat.
It was yeah, that was something. And then because didn't he? I felt like he put his money in there, and then the scene in the hotel room. That was him just having paranoia from PTSD from whatever happened in New York, right?
You mean? Yeah, I think so, but it kind of blurred into like what was going on, so I do think it was kind of confusing.
My impression is that it was all in his head, but I think it could be interpreted either way.
I do think that's where I'm at too. I
But
think it was in his
like
head.
I don't think the toilet overflowed with that much blood. Kind of a striking, cool, The Shining type horror scene there.
Yeah.
But not. Yeah, I don't think. I think it was just more his paranoia and everything just kind of getting away, his mind getting away from him.
You think?
But yeah, because at the end,
Because
they
he-
have the whole scene of where Duval's on the bed.
Yeah, but that again, I think that was him imagining it, re-listening to the conversation in his head.
So what do you think is? Do you think nothing happened in that other hotel room?
No,
Or Jason
I don't
was
know. Yeah,
I kind of think that they went through and they killed Duval.
Yeah, I do think there's a chance that he imagined the severity of it. Like I don't know that he saw. I mean, they did
That
show a
handprint.
vantage point of like the hand on the wall,
Yeah.
but obviously that all got cleaned up. So I don't know. It's a fair argument.
And that's what I'm saying. It could go
no one
could go
really has a
either
clear
way.
answer.
But then the paper said he died in a car accident or something, right?
Car accident.
So they like
Yeah.
transported the body that they suffocated into a car and then cleaned up the put all the
I have
bloody rags in the
experience-
toilet that were then
I have
overflowing.
I've experienced getting out of a hotel to a vehicle when you're incapacitated. So I don't want to say. That being said, a lot of people saw me.
Yeah.
So it is a little harder. I had vertigo in Scottsdale, Arizona, in 2008.
I feel like it's the third time we've heard the vertigo story.
Wow.
Yeah, and we haven't watched the movie yet.
I have the poster on my wall right there. See it, guys?
Well, I'm not saying anything else.
Brady, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Third time, it feels like that's a handprint on my cheek. Wrap it up, Jelani. Martin's done.
Oh, goddamn. I'm sorry.
He was giving you the high sign, Brady.
Yeah, no shit. That was loud and clear. Usually it's so much more subtle.
But yeah, I think these two movies, like we said, paired well together, even though they were, 50 years apart almost. And I think it still kind of speaks to like how tense times are, and even in an age where surveillance is constant, like, being able to, have your phone bugged, or the devices that we have right now that we're recording on that are also recording us, just leads to that like level of paranoia that, some people just can't shake for whatever reason.
Yeah, can you imagine Harry Call in this modern age? Like how he would handle anything. It'd be like Ron Swanson throwing his computer into the dumpster when he checks out Google Earth or whatever it was. But yeah, I mean, the amount of everything is recorded on every device. I mean, we're walking around with watches and phones that hear every word, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's video and audio for
future
everything.
is now.
But, yeah, the future is now. So yeah, it's kind of amazing that like even a movie like Relay, that you could even be anonymous at all, like that he would get away with it that well. That's why I think I enjoyed it so much, is because it's like he found a loophole. Like in this day and age, this is the way to do it. Like a couple of use something like the Tri-City Relay Service.
It can't be.
And really,
you can't get anything from them because they don't record because
Yeah.
of the Disabilities Act. And
Right.
and burner
Yeah.
phones and using that well, the other cool thing was that airport, knowing that the post office was the one post office that
Only
was past
exists in
security.
Pittsburgh.
So like little things like that. Again, it's like shit. You did your homework. Like this is the one place where you can make that work.
even the post office aspect of forwarding, so he was always kind of a couple steps ahead of them,
Yeah.
trying to,
Yeah.
put a camera up and monitor a mailbox, and it's like, dude, nothing's going out the front of that mailbox. A slip's going in the back, and then a forward's going in, and nothing's going in, like nothing that they can see. So
I mean, they won't
Great.
even.
My one Tate technicality for it is,
so close.
do you really think you can just ship $500,000
In a
to
box?
the Tri-City Relay
It's
Service in
it's
a box?
risk. I mean, you can ship anything you want. I mean, everyone's sent something worth more than the insurance they claim they didn't need. But, there is risk associated with that shipment. I actually really appreciated the, attempted dumping of said money into the, the box of the case, shielding
Without
it from
anybody
the
seeing?
workers behind. It was such a small thing, but I kind of really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think it'll take another 50 years for a movie like this to not even just be able to be made. It's just it'll take 10 years, 20 years before just a constant state of there's just no anonymity anymore at all.
Yeah.
So
AI, surveillance.
the singularity is nigh.
AIX, no good. It's not good.
Not good, Jerry.
As always, we know that you know, Mr. Listener. For your own sake, make sure you subscribe to our Film Fathers podcast. We'll be listening to you.